every part of Allah. Man cannot die. The spirit man is one with Allah. And while Allah lives, man cannot die. And that's out of the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America, chapter 1. But it says, Allah appointed man as a vicegerent in the Holy Quran of Mecca. In the Holy Quran, Allah appointed man as a vicegerent on earth. A vicegerent is a deputy. What is a deputy? A deputy is a person appointed to act for another. So if man was appointed to act for Allah in Allah's absence, so we dealing with a spook, spirit? What we dealing with? You know, ooh, spooky ding, ding, ding. I mean, you know, what we dealing with? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So man, it's not talking about physical man. It's talking about physical man who has raised his elevated thought process to divine by the balance of his yin and yang and electromagnetic powers, where when you walk, they see God walking. People just, when people see you, they automatically know not to come to you, talking to you like you some Shaniqua or Ray Ray or something like that. They already know you coming down the street. They know. They move out the way. Have you ever seen the FOI enroll? FOI going? People know when the FOI come in.
Right.
People know when they see you, they see the red, black, and green. They already know not to mess with Brother Asar. You know what I'm saying? How you doing, man? Peace, peace. Hotel. You know, they already know. Because in our people, even though we didn't live during the time of Marcus Garvey, it's in the DNA when they see red, black, and green. It's something in the DNA. In our babies. Because it's in the DNA. Because when we cohabitated with the woman, it wasn't just the sperm mixed with the egg, it was the spirit at the time of the Immaculate Conception, was the spirit. That's why lots of children now seem to be straying away, because while that man and woman would let us make man, it wasn't in it wasn't in harmony with the universe. Pangea. Pangea is a word that was described for the planet Earth when the planet Earth was one landmass. You know, it may have been called other names, but I'm just going to use Pangea from another point of view. Maybe the minister has another name, but we'll get to that after the meeting. So, Pangea, when the planet Earth, and this is just a certain philosophy. You may not take it as truth, but as a certain philosophy, when you look at the map of the planet, you have Eurasia. That's why we're called Asiatics. You had Eurasia. North America over here, South America. If you look at South America, it fits right into Africa or Akebulan. And then Antarctica, India. So when there was a continental shift, which is happening right now with the tsunamis and all the things that's happening on the planet, we're going back into that shift. The 2,100-year change of the guards of the season of the ages has occurred. It's going on right now. So this is how it would have looked. And here's another view. You know, I had to get a picture where Africa looks large, because you look at some pictures, Africa is very small. But Africa is the largest on here. And then you see South America, North America. You see all up here, Eurasia. You see India down here, Antarctica. You know, because all of this was one landmass called Pangea.
Why do you have India that India's up there?
This is how the picture came out. This is according to that picture.
And then Asia is bigger than Africa.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But this is way up here. So like I said, there's another side of this. You see, this is another side. Europe is actually over here. This is Eurasia.
Right.
So yeah, East Asia.
Europe and Asia.
Yeah, so
That's
Europe is
Asia.
all over here. So the continental shift. Continental shift is planetary movement. The Earth is a living organism, just the same way that we have our skin is the largest organ on the body, the same way that our skin moves and sheds. The body sheds and the planet sheds. So continental shifts happen within us. Every time we awaken to a new paradigm or a new teaching that agrees with our spirit, and the old indoctrinated spirit leaves, the lies are left behind, there's a continental shift in yourself, because we are planets. We are growing satellites of each other. So continental shift is like the sister was sharing, is when the electromagnetic field of the planet changes. What makes rain, hail, snow, and earthquake? This is out of the supreme wisdom of the Nation of Islam. Muslim lesson number 2, question number 8. What makes rain, hail, snow, and earthquakes? The earth is covered approximately 3/4 of its surface. The earth the earth is approximately covered underwater, approximately 3/4 of its surface. The sun and moon having attracting power on our planet while it is traveling, making the terrific speed of 1,037 and 1/3 miles per hour on its way around the sun. The sun draws this water up into the earth's rotation, which is called gravitation, in a fine mist that the naked eye can hardly detect. But as this mist ascends higher and increasing with other mists of water in different currents of atmosphere, until when she becomes heavier than gravitation, then she distills back to the earth in the forms of drops of water and drops of ice, which depends on how heavy the mist was in the current of air it was in. There are some layers of currents of air, real cold and warm, and some very swift and changeable. So when the water strikes one of these cold currents, it becomes solid ice in small round drops in form, or a light fluffy form, which is called snow. But this water is never drawn above 6 miles from the earth's surface by the sun and the moon. The reason it rains back on our planet is because the water cannot get out of the earth's atmosphere. With its high speed of rotating around the sun makes it impossible. Earthquakes are caused by the Son of Man, experimented with high explosives. In fact, all that above is caused by the Son of Man. Now, we're not getting into the Son of Man, some spooky stuff. Okay? Now, you got the S-O-N, the S-U-N. But we're talking about the Son of Man is talking about the God presence in man. Because after the Million Man March, people want to know what happened to the money. Where did the money go? Million Man March, blah, 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 blah. It was never done in this current history of the planet. Brothers getting together. There was some Europeans in the crowd. No violence going on. That caused the Egyptians to declare a Million Women's March. They saw that Million Man March. Now you have the planet in revolution because of rain, hail, snow, and earthquakes in the mind. Rain is caused by 2 different currents. And these currents intermingling with each other, and the warmer current over the cold current, it becomes rain because of the warmer current. Okay? So lots of times when we are in relationships or we watch a movie and the movie is just so warm and cuddly, and the movie, we start crying because that movie touched the warmth of our emotional aspect of man. Then you have snow, which is a colder current overtaking the warmer current. So when you're angry, or when you are going through deception and you're tired of being deceived, you become cold. You're not warm no more. You become solid ice, hail. You're raining on the person because you have allowed yourself to be manipulated over and over again to the point that warm emotional feeling had taken over into a colder current. Like the sister said, if you're too much yin, you will go back to the yang. So lots of times we get emotional with things and then we are ill affected by it, and those past occurrences or the pain causes us to be cold in our behavior towards one another. So we go ahead and we snow on somebody or hail on them. Earthquakes is when you are just terribly angry. Earthquakes is dealing with envy, jealousy, hatred towards one another. Envy is the mother of murder. So when we going through earthquakes in relationships, you know what I mean? I'll get you angry because I want to find out how you really feel about me. And then when you tell me how you really feel, it's like fire. Because earthquakes actually is two plates of the planet moving against each other. Two solid objects moving on one another. Two human beings moving on one another in a harmful way causes earthquakes in the mind and towards each other.
Preach on, brother.
Where we may want to hurt each other. A friend of mine named Nisi was murdered. It was in the news. By a man, 60 years old. She was 35. Brother had prior records. May Allah be pleased with that sister. But there were issues in the relationship. Okay? This man took the daughter to school. What is alleged, reported by the family. This man took the daughter to school, came home, stabbed her in the sleep in her back. Okay? Now, behavior sciences. Okay? Rain, hail, snow, and earthquakes. The relationship was going through rain, hail, snow, and the earthquake was, the man was so calm. And there's always the calm before the storm. But when he got home, he stabbed her to death in the back. You mean to tell me you're not strong enough to look someone in the eye when you're taking them out? You follow what I'm saying? Because the rage in this man got to epic proportion where earthquakes was going in him so much, and it happened when he struck her was the earthquake. Otherwise he was calm and cool because it was already premeditated. It was already planned out. Okay? So I'm just sharing with you out of the lessons of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, how he broke it down. And lots of times we don't want to study that. You know, we don't want to see the wisdom in that man.
All praises due.
What makes rain? When warm, wet air rises, it cools, and water vapor condenses out to form clouds. A cloud is made up of small drops of water or ice crystals, depending on its height and how cold is the surrounding air. Height and temperature also determine whether any precipitation, which results from the Latin for to fall from, will be rain or hail associated with thunderstorms, or the snow, sleet, and freezing rain we associate in winter weather. To form rain, water vapor needs what is called condensation nucleus, which can be tiny particles of dust or pollen swept up high into the atmosphere. When the condensing droplets that form the cloud gets large and heavy enough to overcome the upward pressure of convection, they begin to fall. If the temperature all the way to the ground is above freezing, then it's raining. When ice crystals form high up in the cloud, it is below the freezing point of water all the way down. Then you get snow. But when there are alternating layers for air above and below freezing, you get other types of precipitation. If a snowflake falls through a region of the cloud where there's liquid water, which coats the flake with more and more layers of new ice, you begin to get hail. When the thunderstorms updrafts are strong enough, some of the young hailstorms are swept back up and repeat their journey. getting coated in more and more layers of ice. Eventually, they grow so big that not even the strongest updraft can keep them aloft. And so they fall to the earth in sizes from that of a pea to a golf ball, and up to the record holder 6 inches long and 17 inches in circumference. Kansas in 1970. As damaging as hail can be to houses and especially to agriculture, freezing rain can be even more lethal, especially to travelers as they bring ice storms like those of 1998. Freezing rain occurs when the earth and objects on the surface, such as roads, trees, limbs, and power cables, are at temperatures below 0 degrees Celsius, 32 degrees Fahrenheit. Above the ground, however, falling snow first encounters a layer of somewhat warmer air, which melts the flakes, and then, right above the surface, a very cold layer which makes the liquid water super cool, ready to freeze up the slightest provocation. The trigger is encountering the freezing surfaces. What results is a thin and sometimes transparent film of ice. The weight of the ice can cause tree limbs to fall across power lines and sometimes just drag down the lines themselves. Driving conditions are, of course, very dangerous. This is one of the factors that make up extreme heat and extreme cold the #1 weather killers in the United States, even more lethal than lightning, floods, tornadoes, and hurricanes. So rain, hail, snow, and earthquakes in your own personal life and emotions has to be checked. The current of air, consciousness, the level of your thinking, needs to be checked. You have to be around people that can help balance you off when they can see the current of air that you're rolling through. If they can see the current of air, you dwelling on relationships, you dwelling on your children, that person is responsible to saying balance you off. Well, let's get on another subject and switch the subject real quick, because we will tend to dwell on our past. But I wanted to read this because what Elijah Muhammad put here is a short condensed of what is here. And this was back in 1930. This was recent. Earth and human consciousness vibration. Thought is where it all begins. As your conscious mind dwells habitually on thoughts of a certain quality, these become firmly embedded within the subconscious mind. They become the dormant